NBA free agency is here. What are the Mavericks going to do when the clock strikes 5 o'clock? We'll discuss it next, coming up on the DLLS Mavs free agency frenzy special. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato and Mavericks analyst Bobby Curlo. We, of course, are DLLS Mavs. Welcome to the NBA free agency frenzy special here where your favorite guys covering your favorite team, especially on the opening night of NBA free agency. Really appreciate you hanging out with us here on DLLS Sports on what is going to be, I should say, a busy day for us here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Tim Cato on this Monday afternoon. What's going on?
Free agency, baby. Who's going to go first?
Who's going to go first? We're going to find out here momentarily. Maybe Russell Westbrook finds himself in New York. D'Angelo Russell maybe the Dallas. We'll see here, Bobby Curlo. How we feeling?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. This is one of the most exciting days of the NBA year. A lot of this stuff is done in the first hour or so, and we'll be covering it all here live on YouTube. It is kind of, Marc has said that it's pretty sure we're looking like D'Angelo Russell to the Mavs and that it'll get done kind of early, so we'll react to that. But who knows? The last time that I was really sure about what the Mavs are going to do on night one of free agency, something completely different happened. And, you never know if that's going to happen again.
And that's where we start. Reportedly from our guy, Marc Stein, it appears that D'Angelo Russell is headed toward a 2-year, $12 million deal. In fact, let's not belabor the time any longer. Let's welcome in our national NBA insider, Marc Stein. You can always dial up the Stein line at the Stein line on what is going to be a very busy night for him, especially when it comes to getting all this news and notes out for the opening up of NBA free agency. Marc Stein, how we doing?
Guys, I miss you. I hope all is good. Ask me. Let's do this. Just you guys ask me whatever you want to ask me, and let's do it. Let's get to as much as we can. Let's do it.
When the clock
Fire
strikes,
away.
Well, let's just get to it. When the clock strikes 5 o'clock tonight, D'Angelo Russell will be a Dallas Maverick, it appears. Is that correct?
Look, the deal, everyone in the league expects it to happen. What we don't know just yet is, as you guys have probably seen in recent years, teams have tried to slow down we might not get deals at 501, 502, 503. There's been years that the first one happens at 522 and then we get a flurry of them. So we'll have to see exactly how quickly they happen, but I can just tell you, I think I wrote it for the first time last Wednesday that the Mavs were being projected as a leading suitor for D'Angelo Russell. Every team I talk to, this is what they expect, and this is what they've been expecting. So I think our audience and our friends in the chat and everybody who watches us, I think they expect it too. Really, I think what will be the surprise is, can they create another roster spot so they can bring back Dante Exum? Because I know they would love to do that. It probably requires a trade. You've got to find a trade home for Omax, or some would suggest they should trade Hardy instead. My instinct is that Omax is probably the easier one to move out of the group. I guess we will see if they can find something there, and how fast that can happen will remain to be seen, but that's where we are.
Marc, kind of surprisingly, earlier today, Jordan Clarkson was waived. Also, Tre Mann is going to be a free agent. So there are a couple guards on the market that maybe we weren't expecting to see. Does that impact the Mavs' thought process at all, as far as you know, or are they kind of reportedly maybe lasered in on D'Lo?
Great question, because it's true that those are variables and names that we didn't have yesterday when we were evaluating this and forecasting. My sense is I don't believe so. I think the Mavs will stick with the D'Lo plan. I mean, look, hey, this is where I have to put my hand up and say, like Colin Sexton, I cannot believe what Utah was willing to shed him for. And Jordan Clarkson, by all accounts, has had even less of a trade market, which I think gets slammed home today by seeing that they've bought him out. So I think by virtue of the fact that the Jazz have been trying to trade both of these players for so long and end up having to give up a pick to move Sexton and then just outright buy out Clarkson tells you that the external demand for them is maybe not what we thought it was. In terms of Tre Mann, I mean, interesting prospect, but look, I feel like the Mavs, their approach is, for 5.7 million, D'Angelo Russell to them is the right play and the right target. D'Angelo Russell, I don't remember exactly where his salary was last year, but I want to say it was in the 18 range. Am I remembering that right? So to
He's
get
up in the
him,
20s, low 20s.
yeah. So I mean, to get him at less than a third of that value, I think they feel pretty good about that.
Okay, you're right. Yeah. About 19 million last season. This would be. I noted this in a piece about D'Angelo today, but this would be the least amount of money that he's played on since his rookie deal. So definitely, in that context, it's he's taken a little bit of a cut for a situation that is somewhere where he's very much needed. With Dante, his market just isn't like around the league. It's just very clear his market is the minimum because if he preferred Dallas, but there's other teams potentially willing to offer more, I would assume that would be appealing. But with his injury history, I could see how that's just not realistic.
Yeah, my sense is the market is minimum, but I would also say I do think he has a market. I do think if the Mavericks don't work out for him, he will go somewhere else and stay in the NBA. You have this line, because he went to Europe and played in the Euro League, you have all these top teams in the Euro League that would love to bring him back. Partizan Belgrade in Serbia, where Exum last played before becoming a Maverick, they would love to have him back. You have Fenerbahce in Turkey that would love to bring him back. Efes in Turkey, now being coached by Igor Kokoshkov, the former Mavericks assistant coach. They would love to get Dante Exum. But I think, you remember, when Exum first got hurt late last season with a hand injury, the initial word was he was going to be out for the season. He really worked hard to try to come back before the end, did successfully come back for the end. I think a lot of that was to try to show the NBA, hey, I'm still here. I want to stay here. I want to get a new deal in the summer. And the Mavs do still want him. They know they need as much ball handling as they can muster. So we're just going to have to see what kind of that one might take a little bit to play out, and let's see how long let's see if the Mavs can have any success finding a trade to create some roster space.
Mark, we are going to hit an early break so that we're back by 5, but we cannot let you go without asking, when is LeBron James going to be a Maverick? The floor is yours, Mark.
After the break. LeBron's no. Not enough time to get to it before the break, but I would say I don't think this is a pressing matter for us with free agency just moments away. So
classic deflection. I see right through it, Mark. I see right through it.
I promise that this week we will get into it at great length at some point. Now is probably not. I mean, look, my man Chris Haynes, one of my best friends in the business, my former podcast partner, he was just on NBA TV and talked about how today he spoke directly to Rich Paul. There have been, according to Chris's report, no trade discussions whatsoever in terms of LeBron James and Rich Paul asking the Lakers to start looking into that. The statement certainly was a surprise and caught everybody's attention, and a lot of people are talking about it and wondering about it, and we will do segments galore on it in the future, but it's not happening today or tomorrow. How about that?
That good enough for you?
Yeah, so it'll happen on Wednesday. Thanks, Mark.
We'll check in with you a little bit later.
Great to know that I'm now working with aggregators.
That's right. That's right. That's right. We'll check in with you a little bit later on, Mark. Appreciate the time.
Talk soon, guys. Be good.
Bye, Mark.
We are less than 5 minutes away from the opening up of NBA free agency, or as we like to call it, the NBA's legal tampering period. Deals cannot become official until July the 6th, but hey, that's not going to stop us from talking about all the potential intended signings coming up here.
Before we go to break, I want to hear y'all's thoughts. What do you think about Jordan Clarkson and Tre Mann? Those are two kind of wild cards. Mark said that the Mavs are kind of like, do you think that they should have interest in those guys, or do you think they're right to just, hey, D-Lo is our guy, let's go do it?
I don't think that Tre Mann is appreciably better than Jaden Hardy, a player that they're trying to move on from.
I can see that.
I think he might be better. I do like, he has moments. I think he might be good, but he is not on a development path, and like his overall game is not matured very similarly to the way that Jaden Hardy can still be kind of a reckless, just mistake-prone player. So I just don't think that's a match at all for Dallas. Maybe I think both those names are slightly interesting if you look at Dante Exum and think about, okay, would this player offer something a little bit different, make a little bit more sense than Dante Exum? But even then, Dante Exum is a wing. He's a 3-and-D wing.
KG?
The sample size for Tre Mann is just not big enough.
What about Clarkson?
I love my Mizzou guy. As a proud Missouri Tiger myself, but we got Najee Marshall and other folks that are capable enough with the bench that we have. There's just not enough roster room for Jordan Clarkson at this stage. So I think we're good on Jordan Clarkson and Tre Mann. So
stay far away, Jordan Clarkson, says KG.
Tre Mann has also played
it's like 30 games.
54 games in the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, they need a guy that can stay healthy for sure.
Let's go ahead and hit that break here on the DLLS Mavs Free Agency Frenzy Special. When we come back, it is the opening of NBA Free Agency. Will the Mavericks have secured their deal with D'Angelo Russell? We'll get into all of that and more coming up next on the DLLS Mavs podcast. But first, I want to put some money in your pocket when it comes to Cash App. Cash App is a safe, easy, and fast way to send, receive, and transfer money to family and friends. This is my daughter's birthday today, and my little brother sent
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday to my daughter. My little brother sent her $8 via Cash App, and he was able to send it to me so I could give it to her later on this evening. It was instantly easy to set up with just entering your phone or email. No bank account needed. It's your money. You should get it when you want to and not have to wait for that money to come in. It's also safe and secure as well. If you're going to be sending your money to a scam, Cash App will alert you to let you know, hey, you don't want to send your money there, to make sure that you're protected throughout each and every transaction when it comes to Cash App. With Cash App, for a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash, and there's no catch. Just download Cash App and sign up. Use our exclusive referral code DLLS Mavs in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account as well. Remember, terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App.
I feel like we have a lot of our sponsors that are very, very helpful right now during the summer months. They're looking out for us. They're making sure we smell good, making sure our beers stay cold, making sure that we have beers in the coolers. You know what else is another essential part? The summer experience. It's hats, and it's Brandon Bills. Branded Bills, whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, okay, but you can always prep for the winter to come, or tees. Brandon Bills has you covered with performance and style. You're looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd. Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. Start your order, and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. They have a partnership with 30-plus colleges as part of their campus collection, including TCU. Texas Longhorns coming soon. Head to brandedbills.com and use code BBDLLS for 15% off your first order.
We are back here on the DLLS Mavs Free Agency Frenzy Special. Kevin Gray, Tim Cato, Bobby Carello. Appreciate our National NBA Insider Marc Stein for joining us in our first segment. We'll be checking in with him throughout the course of tonight's show. We are just seconds away from NBA free agency and its legal tampering period being open. Just as a reminder, boys and girls, deals can be agreed upon at the strike of 5 o'clock Central Time. They can be officially signed on July 6th next week as we turn the calendar from June to July starting tomorrow.
Oh, we're just seconds away.
So we'll be finding out shortly as deals will be rolling in throughout the course of our show. We appreciate all of you hanging out with us in the chat. Let us know what you're wanting to see. We've obviously gotten reports from our very own Marc Stein that D'Angelo Russell is headed toward a 2-year, $12 million contract with the Dallas Mavericks. We will see if that becomes official here in the matter of moments, as we are now officially in the legal tampering period of the NBA, which means deals can be agreed upon starting right now across the NBA. What else are you guys looking forward to when you see the opening of now the legal tampering period, starting with obviously D'Angelo Russell Westbrook may be headed to New York. Who knows? A lot of things to keep our eyes on, Tim Cato, when it comes to the start of free agency here.
Small note, and we'll have to work backwards to figure out if and what it actually affected. But the cap only rose 7% instead of 10%. Zach Lowe noted, it could have major implications on teams who are kind of assuming a 10% rise. And so, yeah, just a slight thing to note. I'm trying to game this out for Dallas. Any instant reaction?
Sorry, I'm
no totally out of it.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't. Instant reaction to what? The cap?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what it was supposed to be. I don't know.
So normally,
is that bad or good?
Well, it rose 7%, as Tim mentioned. It can go.
I'm happy for you. Or sorry that happened.
I think a lot of teams were indeed expecting it to rise 10%,
which is the max allowable.
But it had been rising 10% for the past couple seasons. So it definitely changes the math just slightly for teams, but really hard to know at this moment what type of effect it's going to have. It's more about looking backwards and kind of hearing, okay, this was planned and this affected, this affected the way that, X team or Y team had to go around their planned summer business.
Also, other buyouts that we saw last night, a surprising one in Portland where DeAndre Ayton was bought out by the Portland Trail Blazers. He is now an unrestricted free agent where he could potentially go as a mid-level exception player depending on where he goes. Also, Dorian Finney-Smith, former Dallas Maverick, is also available. He is said to be hotly pursued by multiple reports by the Houston Rockets, who have a chance to offer the full mid-level exception. Of course, they traded Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks to the Phoenix Suns in exchange for Kevin Durant. Now they have a chance to replace Dillon Brooks with former Dallas Maverick Dorian Finney-Smith, so he has a chance to make himself some nice money coming back to the state of Texas, where, of course, there are no state taxes.
Rob Pelinka, reportedly, this is just hearsay, but running amok and spreading some rumors about Dorian Finney-Smith. Buddy, you do that, you're on my list. All right? I will ride or die for Dorian Finney-Smith. You spread lies about him. You spread untruths. You affect his bag. It's you and me, buddy. It's on site.
Well, what has happened to people who have previously been on your list?
You don't want to know. I can't talk about it.
So nothing.
Okay, I said you don't want to know. I can't talk about it.
I did want to know that.
You did want to know that?
Yeah.
So again, he has a chance to come back to the state of Texas to potentially join the Houston Rockets. So a potential signing there. Other news and notes across the association that we're keeping an eye on as far as the Knicks. We mentioned them and being involved with Russell Westbrook. They also are said to be interviewing for a second time former Sacramento King and Cleveland Cavalier head coach Mike Brown, potentially to become a leading candidate for their job there in New York. Of course, the Knicks are the only team with a head coaching vacancy right now, and it appears that Mike Brown is going to be a very strong candidate for that job, as he will be getting a second interview with the New York Knicks to potentially join them.
And that puts the J-Kid rumors to bed, obviously. I mean, if that happens, if Brown does become the head coach, means J-Kid staying put in Dallas. They still have a staff to fill out. Jared Dudley's getting interviews left and right. Mark is all over that. Godsham got my leave. He's player development, not an assistant, but they already have another assistant coach. Yeah, vacancy. I mean, so it's like the whole bench is getting overturned. But if J-Kid stays, at least that is some semblance of year-to-year consistency.
And we'll be monitoring throughout the course of the evening what deals do go down as far as the NBA is concerned. Bobby mentioned a little bit earlier the Utah Jazz buying out Jordan Clarkson, so he is available. Nicholas Batum has agreed to stay with the Los Angeles Clippers. He signs a 2-year, will be signing, I should say, a 2-year, $11.5 million deal to return to the Los Angeles Clippers as well there. Also, free agent big man Day'Ron Sharpe of the Brooklyn Nets. He is going to be staying in Brooklyn, intending to sign a 2-year, $12 million deal to return to Brooklyn with the Nets there. And also, how about Joe Ingles? He's going to get a 1-year, $3.6 million deal to return to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So he will be back for his 12th season in the NBA. So
Jeff Green and Aaron Holiday going back to Houston.
with the Houston Rockets there. And we'll get into
Kelly Iko from The Athletic.
Yes, from The Athletic reporting on that. Some of these we'll get into as the show goes on as well. Who has had some of the best off seasons so far as who has been doing what to make the kinds of moves to improve their team as we move forward toward the calendar turning to July, but also as we move towards Summer League as well. Of course, the Dallas Mavericks will be debuting their number 1 overall pick in Cooper Flagg. He will be making his debut on July the 10th against the Los Angeles Lakers. Bronny James, and check this out, Dalton Connect also going to be playing in Summer League for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Chris Haynes reports that the Kings are trying to get both Dennis Schroeder and Russell Westbrook, which would be pretty interesting. That would be pretty interesting. Because if you're talking about teams having a good offseason, my immediate reaction was, okay, I'm going to look around the Mavs in the standings and find which teams got better. I think Portland got better, and I think San Antonio, just by getting Wemby back, is going to get better, but then also they get Dylan Harper. So, San Antonio arguably will be better. Both of those teams finish behind Dallas. Unclear. Phoenix is still kind of like a work in progress, but they might be better, maybe, possibly. But then Sacramento is one of the teams that finished ahead of Dallas, and if they... it feels like they might blow it up, but if they're getting Schroeder and Russ, then they're probably not blowing it up. So maybe they get better. I don't know. But you got to keep an eye on not just the top dogs, not just the Houstons, and teams like that. You got to be worried about the teams that are right around you in the standings too.
As we start to talk about it, for me, the obvious winner so far right now is the Houston Rockets. I know you talked about teams that are around the Mavericks who may have improved and could be right there, obviously competing for those playoff spots, but. Obviously, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are the reigning NBA champions now, the Houston Rockets have done terrific work so far. If they get a deal done with Dorian Finney-Smith, you've effectively, if you're the Rockets, replaced Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks with Kevin Durant and Dorian Finney-Smith. I know folks will have questions about Dorian Finney-Smith in terms of his age and what he still looks like as a player. But still, for me, that is a team that would firmly put themselves in NBA final contendership conversation if they do go ahead and lock up Dorian Finney-Smith there, because they were able to keep the core of their pieces with Amen Thompson and obviously Alperen Sengun. They kept Tari Eason. They got Jabari Smith Jr., who they're going to give a contract extension to there. Houston has done some terrific work so far. I think capped that off with a DFS signing this evening. So they would be a definite early winner for me so far in free agency.
Yeah, it's a good group. They're top 9, top 10 is really good, and they have vets, rounding out the bottom part of their roster that don't necessarily care if they play or not. Good locker room guys. Like that team seems like it's going to be a pain in the ass to play against. Still a lot of athleticism, a lot of length. You lose Dylan Brooks' defense a little bit, but you gain Kevin Durant's scoring, and that means more minutes for Amen too. The Rockets are going to be really, really good.
Yeah, and Dylan Brooks was a top 3 defender for them last season. Amen Thompson is
he's their top 1.
Yeah, he's their top 1.
Yeah, for sure.
Sengun really has developed on that end. He is not a pushover whatsoever. Just being able to play big and with size. Van Vliet, his point of attack stuff.
Van Vliet back. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, got him back basically got him to cut his salary in half.
In half, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's going to be back there. So Houston's got a really strong team going into this upcoming season. Chris Haynes reporting on NBA TV just moments ago that Chris Paul plans to decide between the Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Clippers for a return back out west.
CP3 going to Phoenix would be a blow for the Mavs.
So I'm sorry, say it again.
It would be a blow for the Mavs if he goes to Phoenix.
Yes. Yes.
Again, you don't want these teams that finish behind you getting better.
Yeah.
You have to pass them. You have to pass the teams ahead of you, not worry about the teams behind you.
And of course, Chris Paul played with the Phoenix Suns, helped them reach the NBA Finals back in what was 2021 before ultimately losing to Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks for Giannis's first title. And the Clippers are said to be the other team that Chris Paul is going to be deciding when it comes to his free agency plans as well. So interesting there. Two teams that have Chris Paul used to play for. Looks like he'll run it back at least one more time with one of those two teams there. How surprised were you guys with the DeAndre Ayton buyout last night with the Portland Trail Blazers? We saw them kind of remake their big man room a little bit, and they already had Donovan Clingan. They drafted, Hanson Young as well. What did you guys think about the buyout of DeAndre Ayton and now him becoming unrestricted free agent?
It made sense. Seemed inevitable. If he does get the mid-level in free agency, he's going to be making more money. So it's a win-win on all parties. He makes up, like he's going to be making more than the $10 million he gave up to be in a situation where a team is actually signing him to want him to play him. There's just no room in that center group, obviously, with Portland. And as far as teams like buying into the idea of DeAndre Ayton in the year 2025, I get it. I saw a tweet that is like, yeah, if you have to describe someone as a former number 1 overall pick, that means they are ass. Like nobody's like nobody looks at
where you was going with that.
Nobody looks at Kevin, nobody looks at Luka Doncic and is like the former number 1 overall pick.
Wow.
Or whatever. No, if you're being described as a former first rounder, that means it was like, well, once upon a time people thought that you were good. Just not now.
I mean, he said whenever he was a second-year guy or whatever, he just wants to make it to a second deal, and he did.
He did.
He got a max deal, and he's making a whole lot of money. And, if he wants to go somewhere and get his game off, dude, props to you. You're winning at life.
Talk about what ifs. What if the Suns had not matched the Indiana Pacers when the Pacers gave him an offer sheet? He was headed to the Pacers. And the Suns decided to match.
It could have been different, but I mean, there was also, and I wasn't necessarily opposed to it, but a couple years ago, there were a lot of Mavs fans that wanted the Mavs to trade the number 10 pick for Ayton.
Yeah.
And in addition to the contract, the money it would have taken to get him and stuff. I mean, this guy was held in really high regard over the last few years, but with every passing year that you're not contributing on a winning team, like, your standing in the league gets a little less, a little lower, and now I think it's firmly in question.
It is interesting because the Lakers are supposed to be rumored to be in the Brook Lopez sweepstakes, if you want to call them that. Also, DeAndre Ayton being linked to the Los Angeles Lakers as well. If you're DeAndre Ayton and you're looking for a situation to rehabilitate your career, I mean, you go to Los Angeles potentially to go play with Luka Doncic. I mean, Luka Doncic has gotten a lot of people paid throughout his course of his first 7 seasons. So if DeAndre Ayton is serious about it, and he does share an agent with Luka Doncic as well and Bill Duffy, so that move couldn't make a lot of sense given the familiarity that Ayton has not only with Luka Doncic as a client relationship.
And Ayton isn't, he's not the bounciest, most explosive player you've ever seen, but he is certainly a lob threat. We're not talking Brook Lopez in terms of, ground bound, he can theoretically, and a lot of the DeAndre Ayton story has always been theoretical, but theoretically, this is somebody who can be a lob threat, can be obviously very, very good in the mid range. And is he ever going to play defense like he did his first few years in the league? Maybe not. But, a offensive player of his talent is going to remain employed for quite some time more. That's just the reality of the NBA and his skill set, even if there will always be some questions about whether he's maximizing it.
You want to hit a break, Kevin?
It is that time to do that. I'm sorry. I was making sure I didn't miss anything when it came to some of this news.
No, I've been refreshing Twitter. I'm curious to hear from everyone whenever we go to break. Let us know. Are you disappointed that there's not more stuff going on right now? That's the buzz on Twitter.
Ted is like, actually, yes.
The buzz on Twitter is that the CBA has destroyed the NBA. Do you agree? Let us know.
And we'll discuss it and something else. Coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs Free Agency Frenzy Special.
Just like your favorite team needs a home court advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Summer is here. You're going to be in the pool. You're going to have people over. You're going to have pets running around. Your floor is going to get dirty. It's going to get used. It's going to get very wet. You need some waterproof stuff. You need some stuff that's going to look really good and stay looking really good for all the folks you're going to have in and out of that place all summer long. Empire lives, sleeps, and breathes flooring. That's all they do, and they will bring the showroom to your home so you know exactly what that stuff is going to look like in your living room, in your kitchen, in your bedroom, in your bathroom, with your decor, with your lighting, with your color, with your paint and all that stuff. You don't got to go to a big box store, get ripped off by someone while you're too busy trying to remember what your home looks like. No, they will bring it to you, and you can even schedule an installation as soon as the next day. So schedule a free and home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DLLS listeners can receive a $350 discount using promo code DLLS. Again, promo code DLLS. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday/DLLS for full details.
Do you know that moment? That one moment when you realize that you left your sunglasses on the beach or on the roof of your car and then think, oh my gosh, my glasses are about to get broken or smashed. Well, guess what? We've all been there. But Shady Rays has got you covered. With Shady Rays, they've changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life, seriously good-looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. And here's the wild part. If you lose or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair, no guilt trip, just replacements. So you can replace your glasses if they break without fear. When it comes to Shady Rays, it's the eyewear that has your back. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com and use code DLLS35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people with Shady Rays today.
Triple J, 5 years, 240.
Jaren Jackson, okay.
A lot of cash.
A lot of cash for the former Defensive Player of the Year for the Memphis Grizzlies. So 5 years, $240 million for Jaren Jackson as he re-ups and signs an extension with the Memphis Grizzlies. It's the DLLS Mavs Free Agency Frenzy Special. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Tanner, let's get to some super chats that we've gotten so far throughout the course of the show. Zach Stallings with the $1.99 super chat.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate your contribution. Exquisitely, that's what I'll go with. We'll go with the €5, excuse me. To all three of you, what is your realistic expectation for the Mavs season? First round, second round, Western Conference Finals, winner. Corella, we'll start with you.
I'm afraid to speak. If I speak, I'll get in trouble.
You're getting aggregated like crazy.
Well, it's not even aggregated. I mean, like, I'm not sure right now that the Mavs are. I mean, I don't believe the Mavs are a top 8 team in the West. And I'm not sure, based on Kyrie's, outlook, I'm not sure if they're a top 10 team in the West. But obviously, free agency needs to play out, and some teams ahead of the Mavs might get worse. Some teams behind them are already better. It's really hard to project, but I think they're on the edge right now, and I think they need to get better or have really good health fortune in order to make the top 8 and hopefully have a better chance of making the playoffs.
I think the roster is just unbalanced to me. There is some dissonance in what the team is saying about it, what they're trying to be, and the players they actually have employed right now, rostered right now. And I think that's all fine if you look at next year as a gap year, which is not to say that Dallas isn't going into next season wanting, hoping it's going to work out, hoping that cooperflagg is so good from the jump that, he covers over some of the flaws, hoping that, the defense is as good, the offense is better, that D'Angelo is more who he was 2 years ago than last season. It's all possible. It's all plausible. It could work out. I still look at a team that has very serious flaws defensively on the perimeter, and then offensively in terms of spacing and shooting and being able to get into the lane, get paint touches. And we can talk a little bit more about that, when D'Angelo Russell here coming up the next segment. But yeah,
if they sign him,
nothing is official yet. But
does the apron or the cap thing, whatever you were talking about earlier, whenever I was getting blown up on Discord, does that affect the Mavs' ability to have the 5.7?
Affects teams. I was just texting somebody about
this. Because Mavs only had like about 1 million.
Just texting somebody from another team about this. He said it really affects teams operating around the margins.
Okay.
And so, like,
that could be messy.
I don't know exactly what this delay of news is. Shams just broke Santi Aldama back to the Memphis Grizzlies. But again, that's a team returning. There still has not been any team signed with another team as of yet.
Austin Brown is just Shams' best friend right now because Austin Brown is your leader in mentions and tweets so far in free agency.
But there's I think there's realistically a scenario that, a lot of teams were planning on 10% here about an hour ago when they got the news that it was going to be a little bit less, that everybody is kind of frantically, furiously updating their cap sheet and moving from there. So I'm not going to say that is 100% the reason that there is a delay on this. It might be as simple as Adam Silver didn't like the optics and basically told everybody, you wait till 5:30 at least. It could be that simple. Could be that simple. But
I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm not a Lakers fan. I hate the Lakers.
And then, circling back to Dallas, I just think that Kyrie, Dallas has indicated that they're going to be very slow bringing him back, which they should be. There should be no rushing of a 33-year-old. And there is a scenario that he's not back until very late in the year. And until he is back, I think this is a 500 team at best. And a 500 team for 60 games is pretty much just going to be a 500 team. Like if Kyrie is getting back later and later into the year, if he's missing back-to-backs, if he doesn't look like himself, this is a 500 team, maybe a couple games under, maybe a couple games over. So, that is play-in scenario. The West is really good. There are very, very few teams that are not, every single team is trying to win outside of Utah. And so you are not going to get given games. If you're a 500 team, but you play more West teams instead of East because you are in the Western Conference, that might mean you're a few games under 500. Quality-wise, based on everybody around the league, you might be 500, but you don't get the same schedule advantage. So when I think about it, I don't think that this team, I think there's a chance that they're a play-in team. I think that there's a chance they could put together a really strong close to the season and get up to, 6 or 7 or 8. Obviously the first two, the last two would be play-in too. But I think 6th even feels really, really ambitious because of their circumstance with Kyrie. I think the team's set up really well year after next. Once you get to second-year Cooper, once you go ahead and move some players, if you look at next year as a gap year, and again, it's a gap year that you hope will actually end up with the team making a run, and maybe they can. And if they're fully healthy with Kyrie, maybe that's all you need. But I think if you look at next year as a gap year, like they're very well set up. They have a lot of players. Getting that year of development for Cooper, having him adjust to the NBA, adjust to being an on-ball creator. And eventually you're still going to have to make a trade. You're going to have to trade someone. There are not enough minutes in the rotation. But if you're going into next year, this coming year, thinking it's a gap year, thinking that, all the chips are being pushed in for the year after next, then it's a little bit more logical to go into this year and just say, okay, we'll let everybody play and we'll assess from the roster, a healthier roster than they got a chance to do last year. They'll assess from that. Now, again, I can already point out a couple things that I think are going to bother them, that is going to affect this team and lower their ceiling. And, we'll see if I'm right.
But they, who can't afford to have the Mavs take a gap year? The Mavs. Like Nico can't, J-Kid can't.
So my question is, I am not laying out a scenario that is like I'm, have a,
like they have to win.
I'm not touching the ear and being like, okay, say this, like start the messaging. I don't know how Nico Harrison is pitching this to Patrick Dumont. And if he's pitching this as a successful season, that this is going to work even with Kyrie, I really wonder what the outcome is. Because if you are sure this is going to work and, this team still is missing some, just some skill sets, really, if you just boil it down, just some skill sets. Who's going to go guard a number one option starting point guard on another team? Who's going to guard that guy? You can have all the rim protection in the world, and they do. They are going to lead the league in highlight weak side blocks. But weak side blocks are inherently a failure of the defense. And defense fails all the time. You can say every single possession there's going to be a defensive mistake. Or a defensive, offense outperformed the defense. Obviously that happens. But I do think that it's going to be a lot of paint touches, a lot of abilities for, teams to either get threes or beat their man off the dribble. I think this team's going to end up running a lot of 2-3 zone. I think there's going to be a really zone-heavy team. I think they're going to be awesome at that. But I just look at this team, and I think the defense, the defensive lineups they can put out there don't amplify how good and big and enormous their front court is. And then I look at the offense, and I just think that they need Cooper to get to second year Cooper for it really to click. I think it can click once he really develops and gets comfortable. But that's going to take a little bit of time for him. Because like if you just slotted him into the team next year and you said, okay, we're going to focus on finding you mismatch advantages, whether it's catching on the weak side with somebody rotating at you, or whether it's, getting a switch, trying to get a post up. A lot of all of his offensive stuff when it comes to having a mismatch is super advanced. It's going to translate right away. I'm not sure that him on the ball trying to create against somebody who is the preferred matchup is going to be there right away. That's the one thing. That's the one big thing that I think is going to develop. He's going to need a year to develop. And it's Cooper Flagg. He's the number one pick for a reason. That is a great bet to make, and it's going to help his development. If, as Jason Kidd was saying last week, that this is something they're advancing and encouraging and wanting to make happen. But it's also, they're not literally going to play him at point guard. But with all this point guard talk, I mean, there's no such thing as a title contender led by a rookie point guard. And of course they're not. Of course they're not. The idea is just to get to Kyrie coming back. But it's also not a recipe for a team that's going to be anything more than 500 at best.
Yeah, I would tend to agree that I think this is a gap year. I think the full going in is going to be the 26-27 year. You've got a rookie in Cooper Flagg coming in where you hope that all of the hype that he has coming in as a two-way player, that he'll develop and alleviate some of that learning curve going into this upcoming year. Obviously, Kyrie Irving coming back from a torn ACL, where he'll miss 50 to 60 games, may not be playing back-to-backs once he comes back as well. And as much as we don't want the injury concern to be there, there is obviously that concern that will always be there for Anthony Davis. I mean, outside of the 23-24 year where he played 76 games, he's averaged over the last 6-7 years playing 58 games, around 54 to 58 games, depending on the year. So he's getting older. Klay Thompson, the same thing, getting older as well. So there's a lot of things positive that are going for this team. But if you're looking at being a true championship contender, I don't think necessarily when you're going to have Kyrie Irving coming back from a torn ACL that you think that this would be the year. Now, the 26-27 year, second year of Cooper, Kyrie Irving fully being back from that torn ACL, and you putting all your chips in to go in from there, I think that is the more realistic championship window year that you're looking for. But if nothing else, this season should be fun because you're going to watch the development of Cooper Flagg from day one. But to call them a championship contender right now, as each of these players are getting older with the injury concerns that they already have and the expenses that are already starting to come as well going into next year, I think it's realistic to think that you could see them in the 6 to 9 range when it comes to the postseason. But as far as a championship contender, I just don't see that as of right now. But that should not take away from the excitement of watching Cooper Flagg in year one. Given the fact that you did win the lottery, damn it. You won the lottery, and that changes a lot of the way that you could look at this team, not just for now and in the future, because they're going to play two timelines here. And it's very rare when you can win a championship playing two timelines, Golden State. And I'm not sure if the Mavericks are in a position, at least this year, to do that. Next year, now we can have a real conversation about a real championship.
Yeah, and again, 80% of this discussion is that Kyrie is going to miss half the year, and even when he returns off an ACL, older players recovering from ACLs don't look right for about 18 months. That is
yes,
50, 60, 75% of the discussion here. That is an enormous part of it. It is just very, very difficult to lose an all-NBA player and not to know exactly when he's coming back, and then to have to play this much of a regular season in this conference and expect to be in a position when he does return, and then expect him to also be back up to speed and in a position to help, propel you on a run. That's just a very difficult thing. Again, I have disagreements with other aspects of how they've built the team philosophically, but that's a much smaller part because ultimately this is a really talented team, but their most important player to making this whole thing work is Kyrie. And second to that is Cooper. And Cooper's going to be awesome from the jump. I just think that year two Cooper is going to be so much better and more polished and so ready to fill in those gaps where Dallas needs him to really complete this team. And that's when this has a chance to all click fluidly. That's just kind of my assessment of the whole thing.
Let's take our next break here on the DLLS Mavs Free Agency Frenzy Special. When we come back, we react to more that's happening in NBA free agency when it happens. Coming up next on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
We're all kind of sitting around poking the NBA with a stick saying, hey, do something. Make your move. You don't have to wait, though. You can go make your move right now. I don't need to poke you with a stick. I don't need to beg. I don't need to plea. Go do something, and that something is scan the QR code right there, or click on the link in the description below, or go to alldls.com right now to celebrate the NBA draft that was, the NHL draft that was, and free agency, which apparently started today. NHL free agency starts tomorrow. We are running a diehard sale. It's just $36 for a whole year to support what we're doing here at DLLS Sports. When you sign up, you get a free shirt of your choice. We got more than 40 to choose from. We're always dropping more. We got more on the way very soon. If you sign up and claim your shirt and you see some other stuff that you like, you probably will. You get a discount on that too. You save 20% on everything else on the website, including events. You can also join the DLLS Diehard Discord. You can also
Oh, go ahead.
did something okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we come back from
We
break.
can just cut from this if it's really important.
You sure?
Is it really important?
I mean, not necessarily.
It's your boy.
It's your boy.
Which
Dorian
one?
Finney-Smith.
Dorian Finney-Smith.
Aw.
But he's not coming to the Mavericks.
No,
Ah.
he's not. Dorian Finney-Smith has agreed to a 4-year, $53 million deal to join the Houston Rockets.
Dorian, why do you keep going to my rivals, buddy?
He
Good
said-
for Dorian Finney-Smith.
Yeah.
Let me finish this though.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you can read the website, alldls.com, all the written stuff from Tim Cato, Jeff Wilson on Rangers, Clarence Hill on Cowboys, Sam Nessler, Sean Shapiro on Stars. Follow the coaching search, the free agency, trials and tribulations. Cowboys about to go to Oxnard. Rangers approaching the All-Star break, approaching the trade deadline, trying to make a push in the division. Or are they going to sell? Who knows? You also get to join the Discord. You get your physical diehard card and probably more stuff. So that's just some reasons to become a diehard. Now I'm stalling out for the last 3 seconds, baby. Kevin Gray, back to you.
Boom. Physical diehard card. 4 years, $53 million for Dorian Finney-Smith to leave the Los Angeles Lakers and join the Houston Rockets. So congratulations
Good for Dorian.
for collecting his bag, the full mid-level exception, it appears, or just about damn near it. So the Houston Rockets, we mentioned a little bit earlier, I felt like they were a big winner so far in the NBA offseason, and they have completed so far a terrific offseason for them. They've already acquired Kevin Durant. They got Fred VanVleet back on a discount, and now they add their Dylan Brooks replacement in Dorian Finney-Smith. 4 years, $53 million reported by Shams Charania of ESPN. So Rockets, as of this moment, I know that the Minnesota Timberwolves obviously made the Western Conference Finals last year. I would probably have them as number 3, but my top 3 teams right now would be Oklahoma City, Houston, Minnesota in that order, given what the Houston Rockets have done here. So
Dorian, a 5-year college player, played 1 year at Virginia Tech, transferred, played 3 years at Florida, came in the NBA, I believe turned 24 during his rookie season. Undrafted, unheralded. His mom was working at a fast food place while he was in the NBA, and now he's signed, I believe he already signed one $50 million contract, right? Now he just signed a second one. So congratulations to him. Congrats to his family. That dude is an awesome guy, awesome basketball player. And Dorian, I hate you for going to Houston. Sports hate, but congratulations nonetheless.
free agent Paul Reed has agreed to a 2-year, $11 million deal to return to the Detroit Pistons. So Paul Reed staying put in the Motor City on a 2-year, $11 million deal. Real quick, that is a big blow to the Lakers as far as they're losing a Dorian Finney-Smith. If you're a fan of his, as we are here, I'm glad that he's not going to have to worry about state income tax.
Big loss for the Lakers.
It's a big loss for the Lakers.
Big
It's a
loss
big
for
loss
the
for the Lakers.
Like they were kind of, I mean, they didn't have a center, but they felt sort of like a fake 3 seed and then lost in the first round, obviously.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen with LeBron? I don't think Brook Lopez salvages that, and they were already
No,
hurting.
not at all.
They were hurting for wings already, and losing Dorian, they're not going to be able to replace him unless they get someone on the minimum. So that's That's tough for the Lakers. Unless it means more minutes for Dalton.
But, I mean, Dalton's
mean.
not necessarily a great defender.
He's no dough.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's a team that has probably gotten worse this summer. Probably. You know, it all depends. You know, if Luka shows up and he's, you know, the best version of himself, like I don't think there's any fear that the Lakers shouldn't, like, they can make top 6. They're not having a summer where you look at them and think, you know, well, just sign up for the play-in. This is a team that should expect to be top 6, just like they were. But yeah, until LeBron leaves, retires, moves on, actually asked out and gets traded, until that happens, and quite frankly, if he actually wants to, if he would actually want to go, and you were able to flip him to, like, the Warriors was the only destination that really ever made sense out of all the speculation that was made about it. But you'd be getting something back for a player who might just retire, and all that you're gaining out of it if he just retires a year from now is that you're going to, you know, not be paying him, you know, that on the cap sheet. So tricky situation for them to be in. I don't know.
interesting note on Houston with signing Dorian Finney-Smith. This comes from Keith Smith, NBA salary cap guru. Finney-Smith did not get the full non-taxpayer mid-level exception from the Rockets in his new deal, so Houston could still be open for business because he left some money on the table there to join the Houston Rockets. So
I'm curious if that's the case or if it's starting at the full but then declining instead of ascending, but we'll see.
So Dorian Finney-Smith, 4 years, $53 million, goes to the Houston Rockets. We're still awaiting to see if the Mavericks get it done with D'Angelo Russell. We still have not gotten official word that has come through as of yet for the Mavericks, where if they are able to get that done, they would be at their full 15-man roster, and they would have to make room if they were going to try to bring back someone.
Name this guy.
Like
Pat Spencer?
That's Cam Spencer.
Oh, Cam Spencer.
Wrong.
Yeah. Why are you showing me
what was
tweets
that?
of people who I have notifications on for? I clearly have already seen that tweet.
Well, I don't know if you have or not, but that's 3 Grizzlies. So I guess it's just Shams is just like a Grizzlies beat reporter.
Can
now.
you go ahead and what's the
well, Cam Spencer,
what did he sign for?
2 years, $4.5 million.
Oh, okay.
On a two-way.
Mark Bartelstein and
Two-way.
Ross Arroyo of At Priority Sports finalized the deal with Memphis execs. So good for them.
Okay. All right. But as we mentioned, if the Mavericks are going to try to bring back someone like Dante Exum, they would have to make a roster move in order to do it. If they do go ahead and sign D'Angelo Russell again, that still has not come through as of yet. As we finish up here on the program today, slow moving. I'm surprised we're almost 40 minutes in to the start of the legal tampering period, and the Grizzlies are getting all their deals done. Dorian Finney-Smith going to the Houston Rockets there as well. So, but so far outside of that, not too much happening at the start of the legal tampering period here.
Would you guys give up that 2030 second round pick that Philly is sending Dallas to move off of Max if it meant like having Dante on the team or not?
Personally, no.
Yeah,
I mean, Dante is a better player than Omax if we're keeping it a buck.
Yeah.
So I guess
attaching a second round pick to move off
for the minimum those.
Yeah.
It's a hard decision to make, to say, because Dallas has not maximized values on trades for years now. I think if you go back through the history, they very easily could have 2 or 3 more seconds available to them, very easily. And if you have 2 or 3 seconds and you just go find the worst one, and then you're making a transaction move, and it's a very short-term move, it may only, all it does is move on from a player who, you're probably not even going to pick up his team option the year after next. You move on from that player who isn't really valued around the league, and you just use one of your chips. The problem is they have 1 second rounder, and they have all of 2 first rounders that are movable. It's just, when that's what your war chest looks like, it just makes it a lot harder to justify.
It appears that the Memphis Grizzlies are working toward a buyout with Cole Anthony. According to Shams Running, the Memphis Grizzlies and Cole Anthony's reps at Excel Sports are working toward a resolution that would allow Memphis to create the necessary cap space to renegotiate and extend Jaren Jackson Jr. while giving Cole Anthony the opportunity to find his next destination. So it appears that Cole Anthony is going to be bought out in Memphis, and he'll be looking for a new destination.
I'd be interested in him.
I would prefer him over Terrence Mann or
You mean Tre Mann?
Tre Mann
Tre Mann. Mm-hmm.
or Jordan Clarkson.
What about D'Lo?
No.
Interesting. Okay. They're different kind of players, aren't they?
Yeah. I think D'Lo's better. D'Lo is better.
So that's where it is when it comes to the Memphis Grizzlies there. They're getting a lot of business done right now at the start of free agency, as we are now officially 40 minutes in to free agency as far as the legal tampering period is concerned.
We're sure that Hardy's deal is a good contract? He's getting minutes right now on this team.
I mean, $6 million, it's looking rough, man. It's rough. I don't know. And you got to sit on that.
Colin Sexton just got dumped. Jordan Clarkson bought out. Tre Mann told, see you later. Cole Anthony getting bought out.
Getting bought out there.
All those guys are better than Hardy.
Oh, boy. And you're paying him $6 million right now.
It's tough. And, those, you were talking about the margins, not squeezing out a second-round pick here. All of those things are very true, but just giving too much money to guys that you don't play is also just, the Hardy thing, $6 million for that guy, completely unforced. They gave him an extension and then didn't play him all season. Why did you extend him then?
There's also, I think that's a very...
Maybe they thought it was a tradable contract when they did it.
Very important note is that there also has to be synergy. If you think he's going to be a steal at that price and then your coach doesn't play him, I don't think anything... Jaden Hardy did not... I guess he didn't take a leap over last summer going into last season, but he was still the same player. And what he was as a player was that during the regular season, Jason Kidd did not play him, and he had a very poor regular season. And once every other guard option stopped working as Dallas made their run to the finals, Jaden Hardy had some good moments, and it was absolutely something intriguing. And I think everybody around the team, we were intrigued to see if he was something he was going to build on. But it wasn't guaranteed, nor was it a year-long sample size. It was specific individual positive postseason moments. And for him to get that extension, even though, again, he was always under contract, he got rewarded for the finals, which is interesting because we talked about how, in a lot of ways, the assistant coaches did not. And, the team employee, business side employees did not. But it did seem like he kind of specifically got rewarded for some good moments in the finals that were on par with everything that he had shown thus far.
So here's the thing where it's I don't know, there must be some disconnect here because, we kind of decried Quentin Grimes' early season lack of minutes. And that didn't necessarily mean that Hardy was getting those minutes. Just neither of those guys did. Mavs obviously tried to negotiate an extension with Grimes. They failed. J. Kidd later played him a lot, and then they traded him. All throughout that time, Hardy had the extension and was still not getting played. And so it's clearly the GM preferred one player to the other. Clearly the coach didn't really like either of those guys, but still eventually when not forced by you have to play them, but by force by injury and other things, circumstances, went with the guy that the GM didn't like. There is a disconnect there. And J. Kidd, I know he came on our show and he said, Nico and I are in sync. We're on the same page. Our relationship is super strong. But dude, that is an example of some level of disconnect. And right now the Mavs are paying the price for it because had they not extended Hardy and he hit free agency this summer, I don't know if he would have got more than the minimum. He certainly would not be making what he is now. And the Mavs would not be in this conundrum where they would have to get rid of Omax to keep Exum. They could have just let Hardy walk and keep Exum and not had to trade a pick to dump Omax, or could have traded Omax for something else or whatever. So all of these little tiny mistakes and little tiny overpays and mix-up, they do have consequences. And right now they're facing a crunch.
And you're still paying JaVale McGee.
They're still paying JaVale McGee. But stretching him was the correct decision.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Absolutely
agree. It's just he's on your book still.
Yep, it's a bummer.
So
signing him in the first place shows that was the disconnect.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were just about out of time here on the DLLS Mavs free
Is this dude going to sign right after we stop?
Tanner's like,
Exactly how it's gonna happen.
right. Do you have a free agency prediction, Tanner, on how this is going to go?
No, not really. Just that as soon as we sign off, it's gonna be, even if we win to overtime, it would be like, well, I guess it's not gonna happen. Sign off. It's just
We could do
it's
3
gonna happen.
hours of overtime. That guy's going to sign at
Yeah.
9:04.
I am genuinely surprised that 45 minutes into the tampering period that the Mavericks have not been able to get this locked up, because obviously all reports our guy Marc Stein has been all over this from the very beginning in terms of D'Angelo Russell and the possibility of him coming here. It felt like as soon as free agency opened, like this was going to be a done deal. But yet we sit here 45 minutes in, and it's not happening.
Jake LaRavia, 2 years, $12 million to the Lakers.
Who?
Oh, there's your Dorian replacement. Real quickly, I want to respond to oh god, I lost the comment. I guess Derek Jefferson.
Oh, we got a super chat. Yeah, we got a couple super chats to get to as well. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, really quick. Want to say you never say let Powell walk or release. So releasing Powell's money is guaranteed. So releasing him, you'd still have to pay him. So that wouldn't clear up money. He's still under contract because he had an option that he accepted. And when they gave him the extension, I don't even think it was that bad because he had a suitor, and that was after the 22-23 season whenever he was the best big on the team, inexplicably. And so it was kind of they had a choice, but it's not like they really had a choice, and he's still getting paid way less than Hardy. I mean, not way less, but significantly enough less than Hardy to where it would make a difference on their books.
Yeah, Billy with the $5 super chat. Shout out to Paige Beckers for starting in the All-Star game. She has, of course, been named to the WNBA All-Star team, and she will be a starter this year. Hot take, Cooper Flagg becomes the first player since Tim Duncan to make the All-NBA defense and rookie teams. Some lofty goals there for Cooper Flagg.
All NBA, okay.
Yeah, All-NBA, All-Defense, and All-Rookie team.
I think Rookie of the Year is like he's like minus odds. Right?
Yeah,
he is
he's
so far away
shoo-in for the Rookie of the Year in terms of odds. But like the bold prediction. Smith fan 22. I'm assuming you're an Emmitt Smith fan just like myself. Underestimating the Mavs size advantage. I mean, they're going to be big as hell. Like they're going to be a massive, massive basketball team. I was going to say real quick, I think the thing that we forget about when it comes to Cleveland, because they use Cleveland as the example all the time, the thing that makes Cleveland kind of special, and obviously I know they got bounced in the second round, they've got dynamic guard play. Like you've got Donovan Mitchell and you've got Darius Garland. So as big as they are, they've got dynamic guards in Cleveland. I think that's something that we always lose in the conversation. Was, we want to be like Cleveland, want to be big. They've got really good guards there that can make it happen in the land. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about
basically, if you have a lot of bigs and not a lot of shooting, you kind of do need a guy that can just pull up from 35, you know, to kind of like take the top off the defense. Kind of, it's like having a really good running game, but you also need a deep threat to kind of pull the safeties way out of there, you know. And the Mavs they're missing that guy right now. It would be really
the one
nice.
that they have is coming off a torn ACL.
Well, and they have Clay, but Clay doesn't command that kind of respect anymore.
Right.
And he was never even really pull up from 30 guy, you know, especially with the ball in his hands.
Ozzy D with a $1.99 super chat. Luka will follow Dorian Finney-Smith to the Houston Rockets.
Not today.
I think he's going to be loyal to the Lakers, perhaps even to a fault.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think he would join the Orlando Magic before he went to the Houston Rockets, personally, but that's just me. We good?
I guess. I don't know.
I feel bad. Our girl Abby came in here. She was ready to talk about, or see the signing go down and get our reaction to it. Ain't happening right now.
We got graphics to make. We got stuff to post.
Yeah. Come on, Dallas, but it's fine.
Well, seems pretty likely me and Bobby might be hopping back on an emergency pod at some point tonight.
Hell, I might be with you too by the time my daughter still got to go to sleep. So, who knows? I might be back on with you a little bit later on this evening as well.
If it's after bedtime and I'm hopping on a pod, we're going to be mad. It's going to be a mad show.
We got our regular show tomorrow at 12 p.m. And I'm going to tease something for you. We've got a really special announcement coming up later on this week that we are excited to share with you.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah, but we're going to wait. Do you want to say it now or we're just going to wait? We're going to wait.
We should wait.
We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait.
We should wait just in case.
Right. Exactly. But later on this week,
Wendy's frosty cold take.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Announcing earlier.
we've got a special announcement for you later on this week as the calendar turns from June to July. So be on the lookout for that, boys and girls, as well, because we're excited about it. But we appreciate our guy Tanner making us look good and sound good as always, even when nothing happens in free agency for the Mavericks in the first 50 minutes. Appreciate it. That is our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Curl. That is our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 12 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the DLLS Mavs Free Agency Frenzy Special. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Y'all be good. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.